Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jodo Cast. I'm not Evan, and I'm not Joe either, so that only leaves one of us, and that's Leo. But I am joined by Joe, who is a little sick, which is why you're stuck with me doing the intro.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be here, and I'm gonna just occasionally go, that's interesting.
So tonight is episode 66, I believe.
Yep.
And we are going to be talking about some of the big changes that have come along with the latest X-Wing FAQ. And and joining us to discuss is going to be our friend Kurt.
Why, hello. I didn't see you there.
This is an audio format.
And also Bryan Ramsdale.
Hey, I'm back.
Welcome
All right.
back.
Yes.
It's been a while.
So, starting out here, I think one of the... let's actually start with kind of the first big thing in the FAQ, which is the change to advanced slam.
First, never mind.
Do you want to mention the history?
Continue.
Is what you were going to
Okay.
ask, I assume?
The
Because there's like the whole leak thing. I don't know if we want to go into that.
I was just about to take up arms with the pronunciation of FAQ, but then I got better at myself and realized it doesn't matter at all. So
Are you mad that I'm not saying FAQ?
I'm mad that you are. Well, I'm not mad. I'm just like, it's weird.
Did I say FAQ?
You've said it quite a few times.
Oh, whatever.
They shouldn't even call it that because fact means frequently asked questions, not erratas.
Yeah, it's true. So, semantics aside, advanced slam.
So, yeah, the main thing is it's pretty much the same, but they added on specifically the free action you get to perform after doing a slam is a free action on your action bar. And so, really what that prevents is K-Wings dropping Connor nets and stuff like that after they slam.
Wasn't that like the whole intent of the advanced slam? Like I remember when the K-Wings, before they were out, the articles were like, you can drop bombs you can slam and drop a bomb.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was definitely the most common usage. It still gets used some to like focus when you're flying away or get a target lock for later, but I think bombs are the most common thing. And but I think what they saw was that, especially with generic K-Wings, it just opened up way too many bomb dropping positions, so they were just like always hitting you with bombs and stuff. I think that was a big problem with generics, especially where they were just annoying to face. They would just fly past you and bomb you, and you could never stop them from doing it, basically, especially with like aces and stuff.
Yeah, if they were in the middle of the board, they could pretty much go anywhere.
Yeah, and especially with the low pilot skill ones, if they're going before you, they know exactly where you are. So as long as the person is practiced, they can do their thing and hit you. And if you're a long ways away, they can do a really fast slam and still hit you with it, probably. Now, I don't know if the generic ones spamming the bombs are getting used as much lately, so I could kind of see it being part of the FAQ that they were planning, a long time in advance. I don't know if it's something that affects Miranda as much, especially now. I think she's going to be taken mostly with the bomblet generator, so I don't know if it really ends up affecting the meta as much, but it is still kind of like probably a fair thing to do. And then, like the article says, if you still want to drop a bomb off your slam, you can still do experimental interface, and then there's some extra costs with it that makes it a little more fair, because experimental interface is 3 points instead of 2. You get a stress. It only works with your action cards. It doesn't let you do something off your action bar like a focus, and then it's unique, so you can't spam it on generic. So I think overall it ends up being fairer, kind of all around.
What about you, Bryan? You think it's a pretty good change as well?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen in the major tournaments, because this year I went to quite a lot, and it was a real hampering for people, even with Miranda, because of the fact that they can just go anywhere on the board practically and drop a cluster mine, especially. And, with the whole 3K wing lists, you didn't see too many of them, but when you did, they were just really, really annoying.
Yeah. I mean, they could, almost never take a shot and just kill you off of bombs in a lot of cases.
Oh, yeah, you'd see that a lot. Not so much here where I play at, because we only had one person that played the K-Wing, and that was Miranda. Other than that, it was always whenever I went to bigger tournaments.
Yeah, and honestly, I think one thing that kept it from becoming super, super mainstream is that there have just never been that many K-Wings in stock to buy.
Probably.
So probably not that many people have 3 of them. But I do remember, they have done well. I remember seeing them on, I don't remember the specific tables. I remember seeing them getting used at Worlds, so they've done well for a while, and I don't think they're super in vogue lately with the ships people use, but it's probably still a good thing to errata.
All right, so the next thing we got here, we've got the change to the Atani Mine Link, which now is limited to only 2 per squad, as I understand, right?
Yep.
That's the only change on it, which is actually kind of an interesting way to go, The other options would have been to do some sort of range limit or some other thing. I think they were used pretty commonly with 3 ships in a squad, and probably sometimes with 4 ships in a squad, especially with Guns for Hire coming out now. I'm sure they were looking ahead and saying, okay, these are going to get spammed on 4 or 5 ships at a time with the title on the Caraxes. So, maybe it was somewhat of a preemptive thing too, but overall, the Atani lists have definitely been pretty dominant from a lot of the scum lists lately. So it seems like it's probably a good thing for the meta to make it not quite as prevalent. And they kind of go into detail in the article too that when you're spamming as many copies as you can, it almost makes it easier to use rather than harder. You have the risk of taking stress on all your squad, but when you have 3 or 4 or more ships with this upgrade at a time, it's that much easier for one ship to do a green and focus the whole squad. So that's probably where they're coming from.
Yeah, but you were giving up your EPT as well just to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, it only gives you focuses for free. It's not like it gives you free target locks and evades and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's interesting to me. I'm not sure if we'll see it getting used with only 2 in a squad. Is
Yeah,
it
I don't
going to
think
even
so
be
either.
worth it at all?
Yeah, because I liked it with Epic. We played at Gen Con in the Team Epic that we did, and it was really good because we had 7 ships, I think, that had it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting upgrade that I was it seemed kind of neat when it was announced, and when it kind of first came out, I don't think it was getting used a lot. It took a while for people to sort of come around to it, and I thought it was cool to see some lists pop up where it's getting used, but even though it's kind of too bad that it's limited to 2 per squad, it probably is good for the meta because it is used in quite a lot of the best scum lists lately. So it's probably good to pare it back a little bit.
Yeah. Now, I know you both have kind of said now with only 2, is it worth giving up your EPT slot? And you're saying you probably aren't going to, are people really going to use it? Do you think that they maybe over nerfed this one a little bit by dropping it down to only 2 in a squad?
Yeah, I think it should have been a range limit instead of just limiting it 2 per squad.
maybe. I don't know. I mean, I guess only time will tell. We'll see if it doesn't get used at all anymore. Then maybe they went too far. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to theorize. But yeah, I mean, it seems like they could have gone with some sort of range limit or some other. I'm not sure. There'd probably be some other interesting cases you could come up with that would pare it back a little. But I don't know.
Okay. All right. So, let's see. So, I think the next one I want to talk about, and this is probably one of the bigger ones in the whole thing, and I know when the FAQ hit, there was a lot of, I think, rejoicing that I heard, and that's the change here for Biggs to where now his ability can only be used once per game.
For the whole round.
Yeah.
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 Well,
yeah.
yes, for the whole round, but...
I mean, I haven't been playing much lately, and when I saw this, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense for a few reasons. I mean, especially lately, Biggs is like one of the almost required rebel ships in at least the top builds, and he's actually been, you know, one of the main rebel ships for so long. And whenever people are talking about let's get an X-wing fix of some sort, you know, it's always like, well, all these fixes you can't really do because then they'll make Biggs too good. I think it makes a lot of thematic sense too. You know, it's not like Biggs is the only ship that's ever shot at, you know, when they're at the Death Star, but he comes in at the one key moment. So the once per game for one round, I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so he becomes like in the movie. He's just cannon fodder.
Yeah. It makes a little bit more of a cost to use him. Not that he was like completely like brain dead easy to use. You know, you have to worry about range and stuff like that. But the fact that you have to do a little more strategic thought into it, I think.
Well, this is kind of the second time he's been nerfed, because the other time was if you target locked somebody else and shot with a secondary weapon that you could shoot somebody else.
Yeah.
But now it makes it so that anytime that they think they want to do something to the T-65 X-Wing, they can do it without having to worry about Biggs being like the overpowered, you know, more so than he even was.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I don't know. You know, maybe it's possible. You know, we can theorize that they're working on some sort of X-wing fix, and they're sort of planning ahead for that, and they're going to announce it. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe not.
You mean
but
that
Rebel
the
veterans?
X-wing game might actually have X-wings again?
yeah,
That's when they're finally
Yeah, I think they'll have a Rebel veterans or something.
That's when they're finally going to give us Corn Horn as an X-wing pilot. For me, I think this change, in a competitive sense, I definitely see why this change needed to be made. But for me, as a player who's not the greatest at X-wing, it's going to make Biggs really hard for me to use, because it's like you've got to pick that moment when you're going to maximize his ability, and it's like I don't play often enough to where I would have the game sense to know this is the time to trigger Biggs, you know?
yeah. It could definitely make it harder, especially since, you know, you can't just measure ranges whenever you want. You just have to say, okay, it's the start of the combat phase. I hope these other ships are in range one of me. I hope I'm at, you know, the right range of the enemy ships. And if you know, do it a little wrong, then it's unfortunately wasted. So it definitely does make him harder.
Well, I'm glad they took some thought into doing it at the start of combat rather than at the start of the game or any kind of other time, because if you don't know where all the ships are going to end up at, it would be really hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would really suck if you had to declare it before even, you know, flipping maneuver dials or anything like that.
Yeah. Or like if you... And there's a lot of ways they could have done it. Like he can only protect one ship or various different things. But I think this is a pretty simple and probably pretty good way to do it. What I'm not sure is going forward, like what the new Rebel builds go from here, because I think at least the top one or two Rebel lists lately have been very Biggs focused, especially the ones that are like Biggs and Lowrick and Rex and whatever, where they're like all protecting Biggs. Well, now those builds mostly fall apart. Although, I mean, I think they're probably still
you
good
could put
builds, but
the astromech that gives you the EPT and put selflessness on Biggs now.
yeah, that would be interesting.
So the next card then that was changed is the Astromech Genius. I'll admit I'm not super familiar with this card here. So Bryan, why don't you explain the change made here for us quick?
Okay, before they made the change, you could, put a bomb of any kind on a ship, and this would let you drop it after you did your maneuver instead of before. On the ones that you says reveal your dial and drop your bomb. Well, this would let you do it after you actually did your maneuver. Well, now if you do that, you have to actually discard that bomb, even if it's the bomblet generator.
So this is really just, if you weren't going to be using the bomblet generator or extra munitions, this doesn't really bother you at all. But it sounds like this is out to get the bomblet generator.
Yeah, because even here it says after you reveal and execute a maneuver, if you did not overlap a ship, then you can do it. So they even put that in there too, or was it already in there?
No, the overlap part is new as well,
Okay.
and so yeah, it pretty much all comes down to Nim using Genius. Genius wasn't a card that was really getting used at all on Y-Wings or anything before now, but with Nim, since he can ignore the effect of the bomb, he doesn't mind dropping it after he moves, and when he just crashes into an enemy ship and then drops a bomb, then he's 100% assured of hitting that ship, as long as it's not one that moves away afterwards. But then it's just like easy mode. He's just bombing you every turn with the bomblet, and he can like run into you and not care. And in fact, he almost wants to run into you because it makes it that much easier for him to hit you with the bomb. So I think with Nim lists kind of sort of taking over the scum meta to some extent, I think they figured out pretty quick that the annoying Genius bomblet was just too much of like a negative play experience. So it's probably a good thing to outlaw there.
Yeah, have you ever seen the pattern that somebody did of where Nim can drop a bomb on the FFG forums? It is huge. Based on with like if you
Advanced
also
sensors.
add advanced sensors. There you go. Add that to it. You can drop it just about anywhere within like almost range 3.
Yeah, because then you can barrel roll first. You can do a Talon roll so that you turn around and then shoot it out, backwards if you really wanted and stuff. So, and what I like about this too is, I mean, it was the most overpowered with the bomblet generator, since you could keep doing it again and again. So now with the discard, that means it's not going to be used with that anymore unless you took extra munitions. Then you could do it one time, but it's still a useful combo, but it's not an infinite combo anymore. So that seems really reasonable.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds like a real common sense change there almost.
Yeah. I kind of assume at tournaments we'll keep seeing Nim and with Bomba because that's so good, but probably people won't be taking Genius anymore. People will figure out some other build. I'm not sure what it would end up being, but I'm sure we will keep seeing Nim, but probably just Genius won't get used anymore. If you really wanted to keep using Genius, you could do... let's see, he has 2 bomb slots, so you could put on 2 seismic charges and extra munitions. So you'd have basically 4 uses of Genius if you really wanted to. But I'm sure people will stick with Bomblet and then just not take Genius anymore, honestly. Which is sort of too bad. Like right when it came out, I played Nim with Bomblet and Genius a little bit, and Like, it was really fun to fly. Maybe people playing against me thought it was super annoying, but like, it was really fun to fly into ships and drop a bomb on yourself and not take damage from it and stuff. And I don't think it'll get used anymore, but it's probably for the best.
Now, this last change here that they made, where Fantasy Flight basically took like a hole punch to the Jumpmaster 5000 and knocked the torpedo and astromech upgrades right out of your upgrade bar, was, I guess that one really kind of surprised me. Like, I knew that the Jumpmaster was a pretty dominant ship in a lot of ways, but I guess I wasn't expecting them to take 2 entire upgrades out of the upgrade bar here.
Yeah, and I think people were saying this is like the 4th or 5th time they've nerfed Jumpmasters in some way or another, so it's kind of been building up.
Yeah, I play Jumpmasters a lot, and yeah, it really hurts the contracted scout, of course, because you take away both torpedo slots and the astromech, and it pretty much just becomes a bumping ship now. I mean, really the only one left that's really good still is Dengar.
Is there a reason why they had to get rid of the astromech and not just the torpedoes? Like, once the torpedoes are gone, isn't that enough?
Well, even if you would have left one torpedo and with the illicit slot, you could use scavenger crane and get it back again if you killed a ship. And with the astromech, of course, when you use what's the one that gives you a target lock after you spend a focus?
That's the R4 agromech.
Yeah, R4 agromech. Yeah, that was pretty good, because then all you got to do is spin the focus one round and then get a target lock for the next round. And of course,
but if you don't have any torpedoes, isn't that not as big of a deal, because they're only 2 attack ships?
Yeah. The other droid that you'd see a lot, I think, is the Unhinged, which this is already a ship that has a fair amount of greens and not many reds, and these extra greens worked even better on it. I think people would combo Unhinged with K4 Security Droid a lot, and so that works well when it has a lot of greens. And I don't know if the Unhinged were used a lot on the generics so much, but I think they were used a lot, especially like on Dengar. He just becomes this super fast, like, arc-dodging, barrel-rolling crazy guy who can get anywhere. So, when they had the leaks a couple months ago, whenever that was, the rumor was that the I think was like 1 torpedo and the salvaged astromech would go on the title card, and I don't know if maybe the leaks, I guess, were an early version, or if they kind of responded to feedback after people saw the leaks and stuff. But I think they realized, based on the tournament results, Dengar, with the title and all these upgrades, has been one of the mainstays of scum lists lately. So they probably said, well, even though maybe it's more thematically appropriate to have it on the title, he just ends up being too good when you can do Unhinged or whatever different things on there.
No, the original one was, it had 1 torpedo. It lost the illicit slot, and it put back. I think it put back the illicit slot on the title, but took away the second torpedo. So where if you had the title, you had no torpedoes.
Yeah, so I don't know. It kind of seems like they've been, continuing to tweak it over time, and maybe that's one of the things that led to this being so late compared to the leak. But like I said, it seems like Dengar's been pretty dominant, so I assume they just decided to not take any chances and just eliminate as much as they could. I think it's kind of too bad in some sense. I really liked the theme of having the salvaged astromech on this ship, and there just aren't that many ships that can take the salvaged astromech, so it's like kind of too bad. And even if you buy it now, it comes with astromechs that you can't use with it, unfortunately.
And torpedoes.
Yeah. I feel like they could have done something kind of like the Skurg title, where it says you get an astromech slot, but you can only take unique ones. And then you'd see people using, R5P9 or something. Stuff like that would be maybe kind of interesting instead of just unhinged.
Yeah,
but
it is a little sad that Dengar can't use his
own
droid friends.
His own droid.
yeah, the droid that comes with him. Yeah, I don't know. The main thing is, now that they have this errata finally published, they can sit and see, well, do all the jump masters drop off, or do they still need more errata? And they could always bring it back the other direction and say, okay, well, now they're not getting used at all, so we will add one of these slots back or something. I don't know. That's always possible, I guess. Not that we've seen that before, but it could happen. I kind of don't think it'll completely kill off the jump master, but I do think it would keep them from being as dominant for sure. Finally, I'm sure Dengar will keep getting used. I don't know if there's that much a reason to take the generics personally, but I could be wrong.
Only as a bump ship or something like that. I thought about you could put feedback array on it and anti-pursuit lasers, and just use it as a bump ship. Yeah, because I don't think anybody's going to take many of the other ones. I think if they would have took the EPT off the contracted scout itself, I think that may have actually done a lot for it too.
Yeah, I know that's one that people online have asked for a lot, and I don't know. I guess I assume FFG really wants Scum to be, the generic pilot with an EPT kind of faction. Although, I mean, Empire has a lot too, but yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they were attached to that slot and not some other ones. I don't know. It's interesting.
So, and you guys talking about the leaks, that reminds me, I was going to ask you, because I remember we had the, those leaks came out, what was it, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, something like that?
Oh gosh,
it's been August.
It was even or was it even longer?
Yeah, I think it was like June,
July?
Maybe? Yeah, June or July.
Oh man, it was that long ago. Because I remember, honestly, until you started mentioned them near the beginning of the show, I had completely forgot about them even, because it had been so long since the leak had actually happened.
Yeah.
But so was there, and since it's been so long, I can't recall what all was in there. Was there any? And you already talked about how the Jump Master changed. With some of the other ones, was there any big changes that were in the leaked fact that didn't make it to release, or
no,
or maybe some changes that were in there that you wish would have come out, or?
No, I think everything that was in there came out, with the exception of what was with the Jump Master, because even the Advanced Slam was in there, but Biggs was not.
Yeah, Biggs and Genius were both new things that they added. So those were surprises. I mean, for a while,
it sounds like they just got sick of trying to work around Biggs when looking for a X-wing fix.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what, screw it.
Well, when they came out with the Wookiee ship, something had to be coming, because they made it even better. Where he could spend that reinforced token and give him a free evade, or and the selflessness.
Yeah, it seems like that's what finally must have pushed it over the edge. Yeah, so Biggs was definitely a bit of a surprise, but I think a pretty welcome one. And same thing for Genius. That was not in the leak. I don't think he'd even released when the leak came out, so that would make sense. But yeah, I think that's a good one too. I could see some of it being stuff that would be stuff that they're kind of looking forward to the next release. I don't know, maybe the Advanced Slam fix was something they wanted to make sure they got out before Wave 12 or whatever's next, because the
Starwing.
Yeah, the Star Wing is going to have a slam action. So either that card's coming in the pack and they wanted to have the errated version in there.
It is. They showed it.
Yeah. And so, it makes sense to get the new version out with that. Maybe there's some weird combo with the Star Wing where it even makes sense for balance reasons to have this in there. I don't know.
No, I think it was mainly because of the bombs.
Yeah.
Because the Star Wing can't use bombs, so it had to be just because of that.
So, what about any changes you guys, or is there any ships or cards that you guys think Fantasy Flight missed on in this, like something else that they should have given some attention to? Or is it now with these big changes, the meta's kind of thrown into so much flux that it's real hard to say one way or another what else needs to be changed?
Well, before, if I had to say like what the best ship was in the game, it would have to be Miranda on the K-Wing, and then afterwards, probably still Miranda on the K-Wing.
Yeah, she's super annoying, and like her regen's always going to be annoying. She's still really good with missiles and stuff, so she's going to keep being good.
Yeah, her ability is just bonkers, especially, on missiles, being able to take a shield away and go up, to get another, die for your attack.
Yeah, I'm not sure like what would be the best way to theoretically nerf her, but
yeah, I've thought it over
know.
and I can't think of anything really, besides just outright changing it.
Yeah, I mean, you could, like, if her regen is the biggest problem, you could be like, maybe her pilot ability, that card text, is only useful on her primary weapon or something like that. That would bring that back a lot.
Yeah, that would do it.
I don't know, off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but she's definitely one of the more annoying rebel ships that's definitely not going away. And I think looking forward, the cards that people are expecting to be the most sort of overpowered type stuff are missile cards that have come out or are about to come out. So there's the cruise missiles that came out one wave ago.
Harpoon.
Now there's harpoon missiles that just came out. I thought there was another one maybe in the next wave. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing, but I assume stuff that takes advantage of those upgrades are going to be kind of the next really big thing, maybe. But it's hard to say because I don't think the meta's really developed yet, so people are kind of guessing, but we don't know for sure, I would say.
Yeah, it really would be hard to say. After this, it'd take, several weeks, if not months, to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we really need to get into regionals and see some of those results for stuff to really start developing from here,
Mm-hmm.
But I think the main thing was like Dengar and Nim were probably like the biggest problem ships for Scum, I would say. Biggs was one of the ones that has been a problem ship for Rebels, the Mindlink stuff. So those were most of the really big things. So overall, I don't know. I don't feel like there's like an obvious one big problem ship other than, again, Miranda, who I kind of hate, but it seems like it got all the big ones.
The only other card or ability that I can think of that is going to be super annoying still is Kylo.
I know there's a lot of people saying, oh, well, now that this stuff is all nerfed, this kind of opens the way for Empire to finally have some good lists. And I am assuming, like Kylo, I think especially Kylo on Rear Admiral Shirano is maybe the big one. But, maybe that'll be the most popular Imperial list. Maybe that'll end up kind of taking over. I don't know.
Besides the big changes here we've already discussed and Fantasy Flight kind of highlighted when they announced the FAQ, was there anything else in some of the the smaller changes, some of the clarifications and things like that that you guys saw that you feel was going to be a big deal, or was it was it all kind of more minor housekeeping type stuff?
It was pretty minor stuff.
Yeah, there's only a couple that I can think of right off the top of my head. And one of them was just a clarification on Emperor Palpatine with lightweight frame when you're rolling. You know, you roll your first dice, your first pull first, and then, of course, before you roll that, you have to announce the Emperor, you're going to be using. And with lightweight frame, when you do your additional, you can't use that additional one for your Emperor ability if you already called it for your first pull. So if you don't know what lightweight frame is, it's one of the ones for ties only, where if your agility is less than 3, then you can use it on any of the ships that have the word tie in it. So if you got 2 dice and somebody's rolling 3 red dice, then that gives you the ability to add a third one. But you have to roll the first 2 first, then roll your third one. So if somebody's only got 2 red dice, well, then you can still just use your 2 regular agility, and that's it. So now they've, clarified it that, you have to call the Emperor before each roll.
Got it.
Yeah, let's see. Another one they clarified was Minefield Mapper, and I think this was, this is the way I would have interpreted it. So it's not really a surprise, but it's good to have the clarification that when you use Minefield Mapper and you have extra munitions, it doesn't let you do 2 copies of every bomb. You can use Minefield Mapper to drop 1 bomb and get rid of your token and then keep the card for later, but you don't get to do 2. It's kind of like a once per opportunity type thing. So that's good to have clarified just to be certain.
Yeah, another one, which is one that I actually used in a store championship, was Cicatro Vizago, and I used it on Paylob, and it's Cicatro Vizago is a crew, and what you can do is replace one of your illicit slots with another illicit slot. So what I did was I put cloaking device on it. And I put, you take the cloaking device and use it, put your cloaking token down. And of course on the card for cloaking device, it says you have to roll to see if you get to keep it at the end of the round. Well, if you take Cicatro Vizago and replace that card with another illicit, well, your token stays and you don't have to roll for the ability because now the card is gone. So they just clarified that, and it says right here, if Cicatro Vizago is used to replace a cloaking device, the effect of the text of cloaking device stops, and if the ship has a cloak token, the token is not discarded.
Yeah, that's a good clarification to have in there.
I mean, that's the way everybody was playing it whenever I actually took it to a store championship. I ended up 3-2 and finished 7th, I think it was, and actually had higher MOV than 5th and 6th. So, and there was 33 people, I think, in that tournament, and most of them didn't know what to do. So I had to go ahead before I started with it to make sure that the TO was going to say yes. That's how we're going to interpret it.
Yeah.
So now with these big changes, Fantasy Flight just put this out, and it's kind of just before regional season here is going to be starting. So now with all these changes in mind, kind of what are your guys' thoughts on kind of what are you thinking of playing here in this upcoming season?
I'm thinking about doing Dengar and Nim.
Yeah, I think that would still be good.
Because I put, as my crew member on Dengar, I actually put Cad Bane and put cluster missiles on Dengar. Because if you can throw them down, with Nim, you get to add an agility if someone's shooting through them. So if you can get them out there and have people shoot you through them, then you get another evade.
Yeah, I think Nim and Dengar would be a pretty safe bet. And it'll be more fair than it used to because both of them are nerfed a bit, but I think it'll still be good and also fun to play. Like, just dropping infinite bombs with Nim can be really fun, and Dengar is really powerful and has good revenge shots and stuff, so I think that'll be good. You know, it's something I would not have been thinking about running before the errata because it's like, I don't want to play something that's super annoying for people, but now that it's a little more fair, like, I would actually kind of think about that myself.
Yeah, because I think I would still use advanced sensors on them, though, and possibly put engine upgrade on him.
Sure, yeah. Let's see, the other thing is Guns for Hire just came out, so that would definitely be something I'd be thinking about. You know, some of the, like, the Crankses especially, you can just take pretty cheap bread and butter ships with nice upgrades for cheap. Like, I want to try them with Pulse Ray Shield and the new Ion Discharger or whatever it's called, and, you know, some other, like, 1-point upgrades. I think those could be pretty good for their cost.
Yeah,
maybe
I actually just played a match here the other day with Guns for Hire.
Sure.
And you can load up those cracks is so much when you put the title on it. It's just nuts. And yeah, the pulse ray shields with that ion discharger. If your opponent doesn't have a way to also get rid of the ion token, there's a lot of times when he's not going to want to take that token, which basically means you're getting a free shield recovered pretty reliably.
Yeah, I think those could be really good. I think we'll see. I mean, I hope the Star Vipers are good with the new title, too. And, you know, maybe some of the unique pilots like Thweek could end up being really good. It'll be something to try and possibly use for regionals.
Yeah, I've also thought about taking a Saj with 3 or 4 Z95s and at least have 3 of them with Dead Man Switch. Be super annoying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I think a lot of people are talking about the missile lists, so you'll see those.
Mm-hmm.
You know, harpoon missiles will be kind of like a big Alpha Strike thing where you can do it. I think probably Caraxes will be a good way to do it, actually. If you have multiple ships, all harpoon the same ship, and, you know, if you have guidance chips and a 3 red primary weapon so that you use guidance chips to get a crit, and then you, like, trigger a harpoon explosion off your next harpoon missile, stuff like that, I think will be good. I don't think it's something I'd want to run, but, you know, I think people will have to figure out lists that can deal with that somehow.
That'd be fun for Epic.
Yeah. Oh man, I bet you could burn down a huge ship pretty quick with some of those. And other missiles too, I think will keep being common, like maybe the cruise missiles. I don't know if they've been getting used as much as people expected, but I think there'll be some. What was the other missile I was thinking of? I don't remember now, but, you know, I think some of those Alpha Strike lists
cluster
will still
missiles
be
or
good.
assault missiles.
Yeah, I think you'll see them getting used. So it'll be a lot of, like, I don't know, I think the way you get around those is, like, I mean, basically like fast arc dodging ships. If you can get out of their arc so they can't missile you, or you get at the right range or something, you know, maybe Fen will rush into range 1 and Talonbait and Cobra maybe do the same thing, stuff like that, to avoid those missile strikes. Maybe stuff like that will be worth trying for regionals. I'm not sure.
Okay, so I think that, you know, basically kind of covers everything major with the FAQ, unless there's anything you guys can think of that we've missed.
I can't really think of anything. I mean, there's a bunch of small stuff in there that's just more clarifications than anything else. Like the
A lot of them
whole
are-
Jabba the Hutt thing, you know, if you kill
Yeah.
a ship with Jabba the Hutt where everything else stays, you know, it doesn't go away.
Yeah, that's a good clarification.
Yeah. That sounds like the thing you just talked about with Visago. Like, if the card goes away, the token it gave you still stays around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know. The only
Yeah.
other thing in there that was a little bit of a surprise to me was on Pulse-Ray Shield. That's where you receive an ion token to recharge a shield. They said you cannot receive the ion if you're at full shields, which is I actually assumed you would be able to. So, it's something you could do on Caraxes or Seeks to be able to do a one straight when you wouldn't normally be able to. But I guess, according to this FAQ at least, you can't actually do that unless you have a shield to get back. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, overall, it was pretty niche stuff, like pretty rare scenarios that would come up, I would say.
Okay, well, I want to then thank you, Kurt, and thank you, Bryan, for both coming on and helping us talk about the FAQ, because just unfortunately have not had enough time to play X-Wing lately, so I feel like you guys are going to be more equipped to talk about this than me or Joe.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You want me to do the outro, Joe?
Yep. Yep,
All
sure
right.
do.
Fine. All right. And besides Kurt and Bryan, also have to say thank you to our patrons, because I forgot to do that at the beginning of the episode like we normally do, so sorry about that. But yeah, boo for me.
We're so lost without Evan.
Yeah, he's the glue that holds this show together. But no, we sincerely appreciate everything you guys do for us. You are the ones who make the show happen. And if any of you listeners out there are not patrons right now, but are thinking you would like to help continue JodoCast being a thing, you can always go to patreon.com/JodoCast and find out more information about becoming a supporter there. If you just want to drop us a line and get a hold of us somehow, you can always reach us on Twitter, on Facebook, or Instagram at the website /thejodocast. Or you can also find us on our Discord server. At least one of the three of us is usually in there pretty much all day long. And there'll be a link to that in the show description. And you can also, I'm not even going to mention email. You know, whatever, screw it. Don't even bother, man. Mail is the worst. Email that. Did I?
You can mail us.
Yeah, you can mail us. You can mail
Send
us,
us a letter.
as we've always said, an unopened Imperial Assault corset with your comment written on it. Well, you could even open it too, as long as all the parts are still in there. We'll still
Yeah,
accept that comment.
You can write your comment on like a nice piece of parchment and slip it into the box.
Make sure seal it with wax and.
Mm-hmm.
Did I miss anything? I think I hit all the points. I don't have it written in
Did you
front
say
of me like we
YouTube?
normally do. Oh no, yes, YouTube also. Yes, we also are making videos on Twitch and YouTube. Those search for the JodoCast on there as well. And that's all, folks. Right. And then Joe dies. 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 And then Joe